everyone, it's Darren here, the very creative vegan, and welcome to my man cave in my garden in Glastonbury. This is where I come every morning to do a bit of a workout. I've already been for a 20-minute jog and then I work out behind me. It's not a fancy studio, it's actually a garden shed that's got a roof and is insulated, but it does me for now. And the reason I'm here is I've just finished working out, and it's the day after the night before being seeing the documentary, the new documentary, The Game Changers. And I saw it in Wells in Somerset, and it was a global premiere last night for those of you who didn't know, and for those of you who did know. And very cleverly they had a one-off screening that they basically broadcast all around the world, and they had an extended hour, I think, or half an hour afterwards, where they had a longer interview with Jim Cameron, outtakes and other stuff that you didn't see in the movie. But please keep watching this video, because I'm going to give a pretty lengthy review of what I thought of The Game Changers and tell you some of the things that I thought it achieved, some of the things that I thought it underlined and did really well, some of the things I thought it didn't do not so well. But overall, I'm pretty buzzing after seeing this movie. And basically, if you're in the vegan community, you would have heard of this film. You would have seen it advertised, you'd have seen the trailer, and I think they've been marketing this film for the past 6 to 8 months. And for me, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through categories of like how it was shot, the story, you know, the content. I'm going to do that very quickly to kind of hopefully give you an overall review of the movie. So from a movie and marketing perspective, my background is in film marketing. I've been doing it for 25 years. I've worked on some of the biggest films and trailers in the world, and what this film did really well was market itself like a big movie. You know, from the trailer, from the marketing campaign, from the poster, from all the content that's been out there. And I think that's what's making it stand head and shoulders above all the other vegan documentaries that have been released to date. Absolutely no disrespect to them whatsoever. One of the main reasons I'm a vegan is because of seeing Cowspiracy 4 years ago, and that was underlined by What the Health. And I went to the vegan camp out recently and listening to a lot of vegan coaches and speakers and people in the community, and it's amazing how many people watch a movie and then it inspires them more than anything else to embrace veganism. So I think The Game Changers had that in mind when it was put together, and effectively it went out there, it's gone out there as a big movie, it's marketed itself as such. Clearly it's produced by Jackie Chan, Jim Cameron, it's got Arnold Schwarzenegger in it, you know, it's got a big backing behind it. But fundamentally, what I saw the film as, it's a call to action to men basically around the world. Here's a film about, you know, mostly men. You know, there are women in the film, we do see athletes, we do see surfers, we do see cyclists, but mainly this is a call to arms for men to embrace veganism. Because guess what, guys, eating meat fucks up your health, fucks up your sex drive, you know, basically doesn't do you any favors whatsoever. And I think fundamentally that's the message at the core of this movie, and it's filmed in a way, it's almost like a 90-minute commercial against the meat, dairy and fish industry and for veganism. It's got a great soundtrack, you know, it's cut very fast, it's kind of MTV style, in your face, very slickly shot. You know, it's like a Nike commercial, not so much an Apple commercial, but it's basically, you know, a commercial mainly to men in the world to, you know, put away your beliefs that eating meat makes you manly, makes you strong, gives you a great sex drive. And it just, throughout the movie, it kicks those beliefs into gear. And from a story perspective, James Wilks, he narrates the whole movie, and the whole film is based around his story and transformation. And this guy, you know, he's an ex-Navy SEAL, he's a hardcore karate expert and self-defense expert, and this is one guy that you would not want to get in a rumble with ever. And it starts off with him talking about his journey, that he was an incredibly hyperactive kid, his teachers, you know, couldn't deal with him, and his parents introduced him to karate at a very early age, and clearly he loved it, became really great at it. Bruce Lee was one of his heroes. And then he goes on to talk about, but one day he actually, from all his skills as a black belt, he actually got into a fight and was, you know, beaten up pretty badly. And he did some research and found out that this happened to Bruce Lee as well. So he does some research into real, you know, defense, combat, you know, close quarters stuff, that if you are going to get into the fight, that you're basically going to win. And this guy's pretty awesome. You know, he you know, it shows you the competitions that he's won, but he gets an injury. he gets injury to his knees and to his back, and he's basically out of action for 6 months. So for someone like him, whose profession and career is all based upon his physical fitness, this was a major issue. So he talks about doing some research. He needs to basically get his strength back, get the recovery back quickly, and he spends hours on the internet reading books and basically discovers the secret that a lot of us vegans know already, that eating a plant-based diet is one of the most optimum things you can do for your health and your fitness. And it's really intriguing the way he finds this out. He finds it out basically from looks back at our ancestors in gladiatorial times, and we have bones from gladiators that have been dug up by archaeologists, and they've gone into these bones and basically analysed them, and they can see that the majority of the gladiators, the Russell Crowes, the guys who were out there, you know, killing and fighting, were vegetarian. They weren't, you know, predominant meat eaters. And this gets the ball rolling for him then researching more and more subjects on the matter. And that's what basically cements the whole story together. We follow James. He narrates the whole movie. He takes us from his story into interviewing, you know, the world's strongest man, to, you know, people, you know, triathletes, bodybuilders. You know, midway in the film we get to meet Arnold Schwarzenegger, who clearly talks about all the meat that he consumed when he used to be a bodybuilder. I mean, we go into Arnie's office and you see all his film posters and everything around, and there's a bloody alligator, stuffed alligator under his desk. Not very veganism, but come on, it's Arnie. He needs to have his decorations around him. But Arnie's pretty cool. You know, he basically sums it up from a marketing perspective and talks about how the meat industry plugged him with eat this, eat that, be strong, and he felt the impacts on his own health. He would start to see other bodybuilders come up through the ranks who were mainly vegan and vegetarian, and seeing that they were absolutely crushing it. And he also says you can't just go up to people and tell them to stop eating meat, because they'll just say, fuck you, I'm not listening to you. And he says, you're right, you know, you've got to do it, you've got to listen to them, you've got to do it piece by piece. And so his argument is a constructive one. You know, what's stronger in the movie is when we stay with James, because James's father, who's about 71, 72 now, actually has a heart attack. And you know, this really, you know, stresses James. This is while James is going through his recovery as well, and this stresses him out. He goes to see his dad and just starts to tell him what he's learning about a vegan diet. And that's where we get some really interesting subplots and layers into the film, where we start to meet some nutritional doctors, people with the science, and you have these great animated CGI sequences where you see the cells going into the body and into the cells and into the arteries to show you, you know, what meat, dairy and fish does to you inside, and then what you eat on a plant-based diet. And again, cinematically, seeing that on the big screen, I think this is going to have an impact on people. Often when people see the graphs and they see the charts, and there's a lot of them in the film as well, they kind of go, yeah, whatever. But when you actually, it shows the body going into the body, showing what's going on, you know, inside, and it doesn't skirt on the detail, doesn't skirt on the biology, but I actually found it pretty easy to follow in terms of what they were talking about. So Man Cave, Game Changers, trying to change men. As a lot of you all know as well, veganism is being led by women around the world. Respect to the women, respect to their caring, respect to their nurturing, respect to their common sense to know that we cannot carry on the way we are. And the fact that, you know, I think it's probably 3/4 of the people that are vegan now. I think women outnumber the guys 3-1. Correct? I don't know that specifically, but it's certainly a lot more women than men. So this film is going to address that. As I've said before, I'm going to keep banging on about it, that it's going to address that eating meat, dairy and fish, if you're a bloke, is not going to make you stronger. It's not going to make you fitter. It's not going to make you beat the competition. And one of the key scenes in the film, which had the whole cinema in an uproar, was the doctor who wrote the penis book. And, you know, he talks about, you know, how it affects sexual health, and he gets these 3 guys from the Texas football team who come in, tells them what he's going to do. He attaches this apparatus to the members, not while they're there, while they're sleeping, and which measures how many erections they have while they're sleeping. And for those of you who don't know, and for those of you who do, us guys, when we sleep, we get hard-ons. That's just what nature intended, I guess. Who knows? I guess it's, you know, wishful thinking for most of us when we're asleep, and it can be annoying, but we have a variety of them throughout the evening. And what he does with these guys, he feeds them meat, and then he feeds them plant-based diets, and he measures over 2 evenings, and then they look at the results. And you know, it's a pretty humorous sequence to see, you know, the difference just in one night from them switching from meat to a plant-based diet, on how bigger they got, how many more erections they had. And again, if this isn't anything, if there's one scene in the film that's going to impact guys thinking, shall I keep eating that dirty great big steak, or go to KFC, or have another Burger King or a McDonald's, or shall I get beyond meat? Shall I, you know, eat more salad? Shall I get some more avocados in my system? This scene, I think, really underlines that fact. And it's well done. It's funny, it's humorous, but it's also, again, it illustrates the arteries, and how when we eat meat, fish and dairy, that the lining of the arteries actually decreases and reduces the blood flow. And it really stresses in the film that the #1 cause of death in men or around the world is heart failure. And we go to the Firefighters in New York, and there's another amazing vegan nutritionist guy there who basically puts these firefighters on a weekly plant-based diet, because the majority of them, God bless them, who do an amazing job, their cholesterol's through the roof, their cortisol levels are through the roof, their stress, you know, they're up here. And he does this test on them eating a plant-based diet for 7 days. I won't give everything away that's in the film, but do see it, because that's a pretty awesome and impressive scene of what results comes back to them. And the film flies by. It's very entertaining. You know, the world's strongest man, he's got like sideburns like this. I mean, again, what I noticed is, as much as it really bangs on about the vegan diet, the people that you meet have clearly got a different mindset going on in relation to what they're doing to their bodies. You know, it's not just about, oh, I'm vegan now and I'm stronger and I'm better. It's almost like they've reprogrammed themselves to the side. I'm not going to be doing that to my body anymore. I'm going to shift. And I think that is elevating them, as well as their diet is elevating them to being the best of the best. And it doesn't necessarily go into that, but you can tell when these people are talking that there is a different thing going on, you know, in their head, in terms of why they've chosen to be vegan, why they're embracing this lifestyle. And I think that it's very exciting. They're the great points to the film. I think it's highly entertaining. I think as many people in the world should see it. If you're a bloke, if you're a non-vegan and you love your meat, dairy and fish, it's fine. Just go see this movie and see what you think. You know, put in the comments. Love to hear what any guys think about this movie. I'm not excluding the women here. I think it's a film for everybody, but it's clearly been made to address this balance and to shatter these myths around masculinity and people's ego and strength being attached to eating meat, fish and dairy. One of the things the film is light on is actually really showing cruelty to animals and what goes on to them globally. There are sequences where it talks about the 70 billion animals that are killed a year, and how much, literally 3/4 of the planet is, you know, is being grown to feed them, the amount of water that goes into your steak, a lot of the statistics that I've heard already in the likes of Cowspiracy. But it's actually put in the film at a point that I think it really drives home this fact. And if anything, there are a lot of other documentaries out there that really address the issues of animal cruelty, and you know, those films are amazing. They are having an impact, and they are hard for some people to watch. They are hard for some people to stomach. Even for the likes of me, I can only watch so much of that because I love and care for animals so much. I know what goes on, I care passionately about it, but actually sitting and watching it, I find quite a struggle. So I think the film skirts that issue in a sense, because it's about, this film's about satisfying desire. It's about how do you get strong, how can you be healthier, how can you be more sexually have more sexual prowess, how can you be more attractive. That is what the film's talking about from a diet perspective. It's like, how can you be better, and that's what it does really well. And then when the film ended, we had an extended, because it was the premiere, I think this will probably be on the DVD and Blu-ray, there was half an hour where there was a longer interview with Jim Cameron talking about why he became vegan with his wife, what it means to him. And you know, here's one of the biggest directors in the world. He's currently working on, I think, 3 or 4 Avatar movies, and he's clearly embracing the lifestyle now. And he talks about it in really plain terms. You know, he also says, you know, what's the most annoying person that you know? And he says vegans. He said they're a pain in the ass. You know, how many vegans does it take to change the light bulb? Doesn't matter, we're better than you. And you get a shot of the crew giggling to this. And his point is, we don't want to be a pain in the ass. We need to all work together. We need to all start changing the way we live, because the way we're currently living is not sustainable. And it's great to have someone like him, championing this movement out there. And I reckon the Avatar films are going to carry that message forward over the next 5 years to a decade, and he's basically dedicated his life now just to making these movies. So there's a big shift happening, and within the outtakes as well, there was some outtake. There was a longer interview with Arnold Schwarzenegger. Lewis Hamilton was there talking about how his physical fitness has never been better in his life. I mean, the guy's 32 now. He smashes the Grand Prix. Talks about how fuel in the body, his analogy is pretty awesome, in that driving one of the fastest cars on the planet, it has this impact on his body that is so extreme. His body can never relax, and so his fitness level and what is going through his body as well, he's just saying the fuel that's in your body is more important than anything. And I think he drives that message home. If you don't know this, he's already opened a chain of vegan restaurants, fast food restaurants, and I think they're going to spread globally. There's some coming to London, to Europe. I think they're going to be a huge, massive success. And he just emphasizes he's never felt as good in his life. So people like him, people like Jim Cameron, people like James Wilks, the people in this film that are putting these messages forward are going to impact people. These are people out there that have strong messages to tell. So hopefully that's whetted your appetite to go see this movie. I don't know if it's going to be on the cinema for much longer, or there's going to be, but certainly it'll be download soon. I'll put a link in the bottom when I know more about how it's going to be available. But look, I don't work for the filmmakers. I'm just, I'm promoting it because I think it's going to be a documentary that's going to add a seismic shift to the vegan movement. Particularly, it's going to impact men more than anyone else, which is a great thing. And speaking as a man in my man cave in the garden, I am 4 years vegan now. My diet can be more optimized. If anything, I was inspired in the film to cook better than I currently am. I sometimes give in to some of the vegan fast food and processed food, mainly because of lifestyle and when I'm busy. But to be honest, seeing the grains and the beans and the salads, and that's the stuff that really, really makes you strong and puts you out there. So hope this has been an interesting review. Hope it's whetted your appetite. For those who've seen it, please put in the comments what you thought, what you liked about it, what you didn't like. And certainly if you are a non-vegan and you've seen it, is it going to make you think twice about having that slice of bacon, that KFC or whatever? So from me, Darren, the very creative vegan, here I am in my man cave, and I can only talk about what veganism does for me. It keeps me healthy, keeps me fit. I'm not a big guy like that's in the movie. There's a few guns there, and I'll remove my mic so you can still hear me. So look, it's not bad, and there you go. I'm not gonna strip for you all, but check out those guns. I'm 50 years old, people. 50 years old this year. I was born in the 60s, 1969, first man on the moon. I'm open about my age. I am the age that I am, and I certainly don't think I would be feeling as fit and looking as healthy as I am right now if I wasn't on a vegan diet. So if that's a bit more evidence to any of you out there who are thinking of turning and wanting to embrace this lifestyle, then go ahead. So thanks for watching this review. Thanks for James Wilks and all the other people who produced and put the film together. I really enjoyed it. I hope it's going to be an amazing success. I'm looking forward to getting it on Blu-ray and to sharing it when I'm watching it with more people. Certainly we're watching it with more friends and family who are on the fence about veganism. So thanks for watching my channel. For the people who are already subscribed, for any of you who are not, like, comment and share my YouTube channel. And I produce another YouTube channel called Misread Vegan Presents Vegan Org. That's my news channel, so that's global vegan and plant-based news for a better world tomorrow. Anyway, enough self-promotion. Thanks for watching this video. Hope it was of interest to you. I will end by saying goodbye and show you my makeshift gym behind me for what I work out on. Thanks for watching. Take it easy. To the vegans and non-vegans out there, love, respect, be good, be vegan. Bye for now.